Hey everyone, it's Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We'll get going in about 10 seconds right here, just making myself the presenter. So you should hopefully see my slides in a second here. All right, so if you all see my slides and hear my voice, just say a quick yes in the chat box. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so pretty exciting call for you today. This will be all about basically rethinking leads with 4 ways to basically profit off of cold leads. And I'll talk a bit more about what I mean by cold leads and how that could be basically beneficial to you. And once again, my name is Brian Kaz, and I'm joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. So a lot of you are probably asking right now, right off the bat, what is the difference between a warm and a cold lead, and when and why both work. So I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard the phrase like a warm lead, which usually is a lead that, as the name implies, is kind of warmed up, like they kind of know you, or someone refers them to you, but they know the person who refers them. So it's basically a lead that either knows you or knows the person that referred them there. So that's a warm lead. And those are obviously good. I mean, like if you have a mailing list that knows you, or someone refers, someone over to a product of yours, those are all good leads. But there's obviously a lot more cold leads out there, which are basically leads that don't know you. That's the definition of a cold lead. Now, obviously, if you have a bunch of warm leads, that's really, really great. The only downside is for every warm lead, there's probably like, literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of cold leads. So there's a lot more leads to tap into out there. And there's some ways that you can actually take advantage of even cold leads, which we'll basically be diving into in just a bit here. So first, a little bit about us. So as I said, my name is Brian Kaz, and I'm also joined in this call by my partner, Sean Casey, who you might hear from a little bit later. He's also in the background answering essentially questions in the chat and stuff if as you guys ask those. But we've been in the business a long time. Myself for about 15 years. Sean probably like, gosh, maybe like 20, 25 years. He's a little older than me. And combined, we've sold over $100 million online. So that's obviously a lot of sales, a lot of experience. We've been in a variety of different markets and niches and stuff, ranging from marketing to lead gen to the wedding niche to survival and all sorts of things. But we found that all these things have one thing in common. They all not only need leads, but there's multiple different ways that you can profit off of them with leads as well. And that's kind of crucial to any business. And we've spoken around the world on lead and traffic generation. We've done a variety of tools and stuff as well in that market. So, again, we know the business quite well, and we have a lot of knowledge in this background here. So I won't bore you with the rest of the details and all that, because you guys probably more realistically care about what we know that can help you, right? So that's why we'll focus on that here. And brings me to my next point, which is a new way to envision leads. So a lot of people just think, oh, a lead is like someone that goes to an opt-in page, fills out a form, signs up, and that's that. And yes, that certainly is a lead, but you can view leads in a different way. You can view the entire internet as one giant lead generator. There are literally, millions of people out there that are looking to buy all sorts of stuff. And they're all out there online, just kind of waiting to be found. So if you start to view the net as one giant lead generator, it can really change the name of the game and change your business around. And now there's 4 different ways of profiting off of these kinds of leads. So basically kind of like the cold leads that don't necessarily know much about you to start with, or don't know anything about you to start with. So I'll go through these kind of one by one. And the cool part is here, a couple of these ways where you can basically profit off these leads don't even involve selling to them. And in some cases, you can make even more money by not selling anything to them. So you might be probably thinking now, geez, what does that mean? Well, I'll explain that in just a bit. So way number one is to target business leads with a very relevant, no-brainer offer in a very personalized way. So, like leads of other businesses and stuff, and leads that might need either like a service of yours, like a web service, or leads that might need like a product of yours, or anything like that. Now, you want to make sure that when you target a cold lead, especially like a cold business lead, you want to make sure that the offer you have is very relevant to them. So here's a few examples. For instance, let's say one of my favorite things to sell to cold leads are like web services and stuff like that, like like SEO or helping them get ranked on Google and such, or like Facebook ad management, or stuff where you can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for a single client. So just one sale can go a really long way. So you could reach out to let's say dentists in a certain town, and maybe you spot that, hey, there's a lot of dentists that don't have their site set up well to a rank. So you could kind of go through and say, hey, I see you're not ranking well for these terms right here. Here's a few tips that you can change to kind of fix that. Then here's what I do. I'd be happy to help more, and I'll get more to like a specific example in a second that can work really, really, really well. Another example is my brother used to be a financial advisor. He's now like an investment banker, I think. So he would basically deal back in the day with like retirement funds, like 401k rollovers, and a bunch of stuff that I'm not an expert in. I don't know how some of the stuff works, but to him, there was a lot of money in people that had a decent size 401k account when they rolled it over. And like the prime of the prime leads were, for whatever reason, CFOs of car dealerships. Reason why is the CFO would be in charge of I guess all the salesmen's all their 401ks and all that. And if they rolled it over to him, he could literally make tens of thousands of dollars, in some cases even six figures off of a single deal. So those were the leads that he really, 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 really loved. Now, you can't just reach out to a cold lead and say, buy my stuff. But if in his case, he reached out and said, hey, I'm a financial advisor. I specialize in 401k rollovers and blah, blah, blah. And if I'm able to beat the prices and rates that you have now, would you be interested in possibly pursuing that further or looking into it further? So it's a very easy yes or no, approach right there. It's not him saying, hey, hire me. It's, hey, if I'm able to give you a better rate than what you get now, save you more and make you more, would you be interested? It's kind of like, it's a natural no-brainer to say, yeah, kind of like imagine if you had, let's say a mortgage on your house, okay? If someone was like a bank, or and they were looking to kind of get you to remortgage through them, a simple offer might be, hey, what do you currently, what rate do you currently pay on your mortgage? And let's say you say, hey, let's say you pay 4.1. If they were to say, hey, if I'm able to get you a lower rate for 3.5% instead of 4.1, would you be interested in that, especially if there were no additional fees or anything like that? It's kind of like a no-brainer offer where you'd say, oh, well, yeah, if you can get it for 3.5 instead of 4.1, yeah, I'd be interested in that, sure. So it's kind of like you kind of have to have an offer like that. Like you sometimes even see, you've probably been reached out to or contacted for cable TV and internet and all that stuff, or sometimes instead of just trying to sell you on the service by saying, hey, buy our stuff, here's a special deal. Sometimes the approach is, hey, what do you currently pay for your cable TV and internet? And if you were to say, hey, I pay $150 a month, if they then say, hey, if I was able to get that down to $99 for the same thing or better, would you be interested? So it's much more of like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of would be. That's a good way to approach a cold lead. Now, there's some tricks to personalizing it even more. One is I call the blank for blank method. This works in almost anything, but I'll use SEO as an example. So let's say you have an SEO or like a ranking service, or let's say you do Facebook ads, or let's say you do lead generation, or let's say you do whatever you want. Instead of saying, hey, I'm an SEO specialist, I can help rank sites, you would say, let's say one day or one week you target dentists. You say, or even dentists in like Atlanta or Madison or wherever, you say, hey, I'm an SEO specialist that specializes in ranking dental sites, or that specializes in ranking business sites in Atlanta or Madison or wherever you might be. So you specifically narrow it down to where they think, oh, well, there might be a lot of other SEO guys reaching out and contacting me, but this one specifically works with dentists, or this one specifically works in this local area and specializes in ranking in the local area. And that they think, well, I'm in the local area, or well, I'm a dentist, so maybe they'd be a better fit for me. Now, what is the difference between ranking a dental site and ranking a chiropractor site, or ranking a site that sells dog leashes? Pretty much there's not much of a difference. They're all kind of like, it's the same kind of work, the same thing. But when people think you specialize in that certain topic or that certain niche, they're far more likely to buy through you. So that's one way to personalize it. Another trick that works really well is what I call like a local video. And in this, what you basically do, so let's say, and this can work in anything, but I'll just do the example of SEO again. So let's say you help websites rank. What you would do is, let's say one week you say, hey, I want to target, all the dentists in, Atlanta, Georgia. And the next day you say, hey, I want to target all the dentists in Madison, Wisconsin, or anything like that. You take a recording of your computer screen. Now there's free screen recording software out there, like one is called Cam Studio. That's free. I actually use a paid one called Camtasia. I think it's like $97 or so, but you can choose if you want to do like a free one or paid one, that's fine. But as long as you can record the screen, you basically record yourself saying, hey, look, I'm currently doing a Google search now for dentists, Atlanta, Georgia. And here's why a couple of these sites rank really high, because they have, they have the keywords in the, in the title here, they do this, this, and that, blah, blah, blah. And here's why these guys at the bottom of page 1 or at page 2 aren't ranking. They don't have that phrase, in their title. They don't have this, they don't have that, blah, blah. So like you clearly show that you know what you're talking about. Or you say, hey, you see how there's this nice site here that has all this info. They have like a click to call, they have their map on it, they have all that looks real neat. Well, they use what's called a schema, and blah 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 blah. So like you give away information that shows that you know what you're talking about. But here's the trick. So right then they're like, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. Wow, he's basically telling me what I could do to rank better. So it's personalized to them. And even though technically they could use your advice and try to fix their own sites, they don't know enough to do that. So the natural thing after that is, oh, well, can you just do that for me and fix all that? So they trust you at that point. Whereas if I just say, hey, I'm an SEO specialist, I know how to rank you, click here and hire me, they get tons of offers like that and they don't stand out at all. Whereas if I specifically show sites related to them and show why some rank and why some don't and what they could do to help, that personalizes it more and makes it much more likely for them to go ahead and hire me. And having said that, it's not like you have to make a personal video for every lead or every prospect. You would have like one for all the dentists in Atlanta, and then the next day you could make one for all the dentists in Madison or all the dentists in London or wherever you want. And the cool part is once you make one video, they're literally almost identical. Like the only difference is like, you'd say the exact same words. It's just that the screenshot or the screen recording would be a different search. So they're super simple to like whip out in just like a minute or two each right there. And that can work for anything. Now, here's an extra tip for even more money-making opportunities with business leads. You can sell specific leads to others as well. So, pretty much all the business leads out there also deal with other businesses and such. So, once you have access to being able to get these leads, you can sell specific leads to these businesses as well right there, because that's something that they'll always want. Now, way number 2 is, instead of just getting business leads to usually sell stuff to that are relevant to them, you can also instead target media leads. This is completely different. You don't sell them anything. So this would be like people that own blogs, journalists, news sites, like if there's like an editor there and stuff, radio, TV, all that stuff. And what you do there is you reach out to these media leads and you try to gain free exposure for you, your brand, your product, and so forth. You'd offer a free article or a free blog post or news piece or whatever that they can use and basically edit as they wish. And here's a cool trick. So this is a trick that I have to give credit to actually a client of mine. He was the first one that actually revealed this trick to me. And he actually started this in the 70s, maybe even in the 60s, but I know for sure in the 70s, before there was even the internet, and he used to send this out in the actual mail or in like a fax. What he would do is each week or so, he would reach out to a handful of like reporters or magazine editors or newspaper editors and stuff like that, and he'd have a pre-written article on a topic that he was an expert on, and of course it would like mention him or his like or essentially his product or what he specialized in, and he would say, hey, in case you're ever interested in running an article or a story on this, here's an article I wrote for you that you can feel free to have it in your own name. You can edit it as you wish. That's all fine. Just let me know if you end up using it. And what he said had happened is every week for literally decades, he would have at least one free article in some media, whether it be a newspaper, a magazine, sometimes even featured on TV and radio and stuff. But what would happen now? This, he said usually it'd be in like a magazine or like a newspaper. Later, it turned to when there were online news sites and blogs and stuff, it would work there too. But what would happen is you have all these editors that oftentimes their job is to what? Have a story or have like an article. And sometimes they get more or less room than what they're expecting. So like if you're, let's say, an editor in like a magazine, and last month you had 5 pages, and this month you have 7, he said oftentimes they won't want to give up the extra page or 2 to the others section. So it's like if they get the extra page, they use it. And if they have to use it and they find out, hey, there's an extra page or 2 that they have to use, they have 2 options. They could research something new from scratch, write something new completely from scratch, and spend a lot of time doing that. Or they could take the easy way out and use the article that you gave them, as long as it's a high quality one. It can't just be like a promo all about you. If it's a high quality one that they can feel free to basically edit and change anything they want, they're far more likely to use that. And in that, it would like mention you as an expert or mention your your product or site or whatever you would want in this case, and you get free exposure off of that. And this was a really awesome trick. I was like, wow, like I kind of knew guys that have done that, but when he explained it like that, how like every week he was getting in in the media, I was like, wow. And what's cool is that the method that he did is even easier now. Because of the internet, it's easier to reach out and find these guys. It's easier to do all that stuff that he did right there. So you can get a lot of free publicity that way. So like imagine if, let's say you specialize, like, I'll use my brother as an example. Like, let's say he's specialized in like the 401k rollovers and stuff like that. He could have an article that he writes for free on how lots of people are wasting tons of money on that and how they could be making a lot more. Here's what to look for and blah, blah. And then it establishes like, himself as running a service like this. What happens is if you were to submit that to like, marketwatch.com or, Money Magazine or something like that, there's a chance that if they have the extra room, they could run that piece because it'd be relevant to them. And then they'd be, likely to basically give you tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands, if not more, of free views. And all those people that read that say, oh, that's really neat. I never thought that, I could actually save a lot more. Oh, I should just reach out to this guy here who's the expert there. Or we recently had an event where there was a guy who worked for a business that would basically they would try to get landowners that had like a lot of land to plant trees, where they could make $45,000 or more after 10 years for every acre of land if they basically planted these trees for free that were provided by his service. So it was like an opportunity for landowners to make a lot of money. So it's like, hey, you could write an article on, hey, here's a few very, very passive ways that landowners can make some extra money, mostly hands-free. That's the kind of thing that people would read. They're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And you could get the landowners to actually reach out to you. And you can do this for anything, whether it's, any obscure niche you could possibly even think of. You could find a way to write a relevant article and get free publicity off of that right there. So again, very, very powerful thing. And again, any niche that you're in, you could easily make that work. Now, here's an extra trick that you can do. So with what you just learned, so with the knowledge I just gave you right there, you can actually turn that into a service, like a PR service, and charge top dollar for that. So you could have a service where a client pays you, and you take an article of theirs, or you even write it for them if need be, and you try to submit that to blogs and news sites and magazines and all that, and you submit that for them on their behalf. Now, I know a guy who regularly actually does a service almost identical to what I just said, and he usually charges in the ballpark of $500 to $5,000, depending on the size of the submission and like how much effort he puts into it. He even one time said that he actually got a sale for about $1 million. Now that was like a big, like I think it was like a Hollywood type client. So that was obviously like, wow, that's like a crazy awesome exception right there, but that can be worth a lot of money. I would probably shoot for well into the thousands for something like that, but it's the kind of service that's like, wow, a lot of people would probably pay to have a chance to get free publicity, like that right there. And that's pretty much what a lot of PR services do, is that right there. But if you have those leads, you can reach out and kind of have a service that you do on behalf of others, as well as for your own business. And that's something, again, you could charge thousands of dollars for every client. And that's a lot of clients that would come back time and time again for that same thing. Because it's a service that if you use it once, you're likely to use it a lot. Because again, getting free exposure to hundreds of thousands of people, literally, to pay for like a page ad in like a magazine would cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. To get like several pages for free is like huge. So just an extra thing that I wanted to point out right there. Now, way number 3 to basically profit off of cold leads is to reach out to leads of businesses or basically people that you could either partner with or do white label deals with. Now, a lot of you are probably asking, what is a white label deal? Well, a white label deal basically is something where you have like a product or service of your own. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a book, if it's a service, if it's a physical product, whatever. And it's something where you allow them to market it in their own name. So as though it's their own product or their own service or whatever. And then they basically give you like a cut of every sale. Now, you would want to obviously like make it as hands-free as possible. Ideally, the best way to reach out and go about these deals are to basically offer a big cut, make it as hands-free as possible, and really target these leads with ones where they're mutually beneficial. Like, if you reach out to a place that, let's say, has, access to millions and millions and millions of dollars, in essentially clients and prospects and stuff, you don't want to say, hey, you can sell, this service of mine and, I'll give you a 5 or 10% cut, because they would laugh at you. It's like, why would they do that? Whereas if you were to offer them a big cut, like let's say half or so, or or even more, and you offer to make it hands-free, where you do all the support, you do all the work, you offer them a sales page if they want. Of course, they could change anything that they want. At that point, it's like, geez, like a lot of these places, if they send a single email for you, they could literally make you, in some cases, even hundreds of thousands of dollars or more with a single email. But you know, if you try to make them do a lot of work on their own end, they'll say, well, you know, I could like, you know, make this product myself, I could make the service myself, but that would usually take them like a lot of time to do all that, and they don't want to waste time. So if you make it hands-free, they're like, oh, I could get paid a ton for basically doing almost nothing, having it be in my name if I want, and have it be like super, super easy. That's a pretty awesome deal. So, you know, I've actually been on both ends of this, where I've done white label deals with others, and I've also had others do them with me as well. And it really is a win-win on both sides when it's done well, especially if you make it as hands-free as possible. But you only want to target these kinds of business leads when you have a mutually beneficial deal. Like, you know, you don't want to target a lead where it's like they're only helping you, but there's really not a big benefit to them. So it has to be something that lines up well, where it's a win-win. For instance, let's say, you know, let's say that you have, I don't know, let's say, just to go back to like with the web services as an example, let's say, you know, you have an SEO service. You could reach out to web design firms and basically say, hey, after you make these sites, if you want to sell them an SEO service of your own, I have a service here where you can white label this, and you know, here's the big cut that you get paid. It's all hands-free, blah, blah, blah. That would work well right there. Or we recently had an event where there was a guy that had like, it wasn't quite a franchise, but he had essentially training on how to turn like a sport that, you know, you're basically passionate for into like a job, like how you could basically be like a coach and all that stuff. So he could like reach out to, let's say, you know, leads of like larger businesses that basically dealt with franchise and stuff like that, and said, hey, with all these leads that were looking to get a franchise and didn't buy any, so they're basically worthless to them at that point. If you want to show like a little ad of mine, or if you want to email these guys on this opportunity right here, you know, you work out a deal where they get paid a huge cut right there. A lot of them might say, well, hey, you know, this is a way where we can monetize these extra leads right here. Hey, this is a way where I could reach out to the prospects that you're looking to get access to easily right here. Or even like using the example I gave, where it was the guy that could like plant essentially trees and stuff, and he would try to reach out to landowners and stuff like that. He could reach out to, you know, big associations that deal with like farmers, or like people that have like lots of land, and he could reach out to these places and say like, hey, if you're interested, would you be able to like maybe reach out to these guys right here, or send like an email, and we'll pay you X amount or X cut or something along those lines. So they already have access to the prospects that you're trying to get to. So this is an easy way to kind of bypass all that, and that can work really well. Another example, and this is basically an example of my own, which actually worked out phenomenally well. Years ago, as I said, I specialized in lead generation and stuff like that. Years ago, I had a software tool that would help get leads, and I saw that, hey, one of the niches where it seemed to work really well was in real estate. I could find guys looking to buy and sell homes, like the buyers and the sellers. So I'm like, that's kind of neat here. I'm like, I bet I could make like a real estate version and market it towards like real estate investors, where they could find like the desperate sellers, as well as they could find the buyers and even the renters and all that. I'm like, this could be like a pretty awesome tool. But I wasn't in the real estate investing niche. I didn't know a ton about it. I just knew I had a tool that I could basically modify to work really, really well in that niche. So we reached out to a handful of like larger known people in that niche, and almost instantly one wrote back saying that, hey, they would definitely be interested in that. They thought it was really, really, really awesome. And so we kind of spent like just a little time to modify that software tool for them, and they they sold it in their own name as their own tool, and we just took care of the tool and essentially the back end, and we got paid a massive cut. Like that was, I think if memory serves, it was like a 50-50 cut. And at the time, the first time they sold it, it was on a webinar. And the first time initially was to their list, and then later they'd get like other partners and other marketing and ads and stuff involved. And I thought, hey, this would be kind of cool, because I thought, hey, maybe I'd make like, $10,000, maybe even $20,000 in sales or so. And I remember, because I was on a vacation, and I was like kind of watching in the background on this call. And at the end of the call, I just saw the sales start to pour in, like big time. They just started absolutely pour in. And I was shocked, because again, I would have been happy if it did like 10 to 20,000. It did 6 figures. I forgot the exact amount, but it was like well over $100,000 in sales. It may have even been like, I think it was even like over essentially twice that, just on that one call right there. And it was like, holy cow. And this was for like no marketing or anything on my end. This is a white label deal right there. And then of course the cool part is she's like, oh wow, this worked really well. It made a lot of dough for her as well. So she's like, hey, I'll go and find a handful of others that I can mark this to. We'll have some ads up here and here. And she basically took care of all that. We didn't have to do squat. And what happened was, in a matter of gosh, I think maybe 3 months or so, it actually did over $1 million. And that was just a single white label deal there. Now, once you have a deal done like that, of course, you can go back and make additional deals. You get a lot of interest there. There's other ideas, so you have like your foot in the door, so you can use the same people or more to do even more deals, which is what we basically did there. And that was real exciting, because it's like, wow, a single lead turned into, again, 7 figures right there. And you can do this in anything. And that's why I really want to stress right here, this is a very important point, because a single deal here can be an entire business by itself. And I gave you the real estate investor example right there. A single deal can be an entire business all by itself. So if you strike, if you're selling a product, yeah, it's exciting to get a sale, but if you strike one of these kinds of deals, you don't just get a sale, you get someone that can give you tons and tons and tons and tons of sales. I barely see anyone really trying to take advantage of these kinds of leads right here. And I think it's like one of the most easiest jumpstart ways to like really jumpstart a business and get a lot of sales and really essentially take off, even if you're a no name. Because in that niche, I was a no name. Like I wasn't involved in that niche. I didn't know anything about it. But I did a white label deal where I was able to make a ton there. So the fourth way right here, which is way number 4, is to reach out to social leads. So another kind of a lead. So instead of waiting for buyers to come to you, you can go to them. So the internet is full of leads on social media of people and businesses looking to buy all sorts of stuff, asking questions, so on and so forth. And instead of waiting for them to find you, you go to them. You can answer their questions, reply with recommendations and so forth, reach out for business deals, so on and so forth. And this works both with B2B and B2C. So B2B stands for business to business. So that's like if you're marketing to like another business, that'd be like a business lead. And B2C is business to consumer. So if you're selling to a consumer, that would be what B2C is. And this is one of those leads where it works on both of those right there. So here's a couple examples of what to look for and how to reply. So let's say let's say that you have a product that helps people in back pain. You can look for people online that are basically talking about how their back's in pain and stuff like that, and you can reach out, and you don't just like sell and say, hey, buy my stuff here, it helps. You say, hey, sucks that you're in back pain. Here's a couple tips that I found have helped really well. Here's a link to a blog post or a video I have that basically talks about some additional tips and some products that might help as well with that. And then on that page or on that video, you then give the extra tips and maybe you recommend like a product or two, whether it be a physical product or an ebook or whatever you want right there. So again, that can work quite well right there. Or if you're like a chiropractor or you work with a chiropractor, you can find guys in your local area that are complaining about back pain and maybe offer the first session free or the first evaluation free, especially if it's a guy in like chronic pain. That can be worth a lot of money. It could be worth thousands of dollars over time right there. And having like a free offer like that up front is like, hey, I see that, you say that you're in back pain. I actually have an office, in your town right here. Feel free to stop in. I'd be happy to take a look for free and give the first session for free and see if we can help. That's the kind of thing that is hard to turn down, because you're like, wow, here's a local guy paying attention, seeing me saying that I'm in pain and offering to like take a look for free. It's hard to turn down. At the same time, it's getting a lead in that could over time be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars right there. So really awesome. Another thing that you could do as well, like if you're a realtor or like a real estate investor or whatever, you can even find people that are basically talking about how they're looking to sell a home, or they're house hunting, or they have to move soon. All those are indicating that, hey, the next step is, they're looking to buy or sell a house that could be worth thousands and thousands of dollars to you. And this is the killer part. So people oftentimes don't take the time to reach out to these kinds of leads, because it takes like a minute or so to reach out. But I'll give a perfect example. So a ways back, this is actually probably years back. In fact, this is actually years and years and years ago. This is probably at like the peak of like the real estate market crash in the US here. And there was a realtor at an event that we ran that specialized in luxury homes. And it was in a place, it was near San Diego, but it was like La Jolla or some place right there where like the average home was like in this area for like a home would be like 1.5 mil. So he specialized in a certain area. So it'd be like 1.5 mil plus, whereas like a luxury home, which is what he specialized in, would in some cases be millions of dollars to, in some rare cases, even tens of millions of dollars. And he said he was having a hard time getting leads of people that were looking for luxury homes in this area. Well, of course he's having a harder time because, the real estate market was crashing. There were less buyers then. And he's like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, what have you done to try to get leads or find leads? And he's like, well, I made a squeeze page here. I made an opt-in page here. And I'm like, well, what have you done to try to get, leads or basically traffic there? And he's like, well, nothing. That's why I built the squeeze page, was to get leads to come to me. I'm like, well, no one just magically shows up on your page. So like sometimes you have to reach out. And then he's like, yeah, but no one online, says this stuff. I'm like, well, let's just see. So we did a quick search, and almost immediately we found, a handful full of leads, including one that literally said something word for word like, hey, I'm looking to move into this area right here. Does anyone know like a good area there for luxury homes in that area about, or like a good area to buy a luxury home there, something along those lines. So that was like a minimum worth over 1.5 million right there. So his commissions alone, you're talking in the tens of thousands of dollars there. And if it was like significantly more than that price, like if it was like a luxury home, which the guy was indicating it was, it could be worth a lot more than that. And instead of being excited, he shocked me by saying, he's like, yeah, that's cool, but because he posted that online, that just means like everyone and their uncle will, reach out to him, and it will be impossible to get his attention. So, there's no point to even trying. I'm like, okay, well, what is the worst case scenario that happens? So, and it's like, well, you spend a minute or two, you reach out, he either doesn't write back or doesn't buy from you. So, or, does not use you as a realtor, or anything like that. So worst case, you waste a minute or two of your time. Whoop-de-doo. If you reach out to 10 leads like that and 9 of them never get back to you, who cares? Because if the one does, awesome. But the best case is if he gets back to you, that could literally be tens of thousands of dollars in profit. So it's kind of like a no-brainer to me, like, hey, if I reach out to 100 of those guys and I make a deal with only one, I'll trade that any day. Because this isn't like a dollar sale. This is like tens of thousands of dollars that he could make off a single one. So I'm like, okay, well, how about you just write the guy and see? So he stubbornly like wrote him. And then the next day he came back real excited and said, hey, guess what? I wrote him and the guy wrote back. And I'm like, awesome. What did the guy say? And he then said that the guy actually thanked him and said that he was the first and only one to write him back, and that the guy that wrote the question was shocked that no one was basically answering him or reaching out when he literally is saying, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, a 7-figure house, and no one's taking the time to answer a question. I mean, it's dumbfounding to think here's a guy waving around, over $1 million, perhaps even millions of dollars, and no one's taking the time to reach out to him and answer a question or two, when meanwhile, the realtors were all complaining about how, oh, it's a really hard market, it's hard to sell, no one's magically showing up on their sites, knocking on their front doors, but they're ignoring the guy waving around millions and millions and millions of dollars. So again, keep that in mind right there, that these leads are out there, and keep in mind that this doesn't just have to be done for your own offers. So you obviously can do this method on your own offers, like if you have offers that would work, great. But it can also be done as a service for anyone that you can think of. So you can become an internet middleman to match buyers and sellers. So using like the chiropractor as an example, you can match people in back pain with a chiropractor. You can be a matchmaker for dozens and dozens of chiropractors. In fact, probably the coolest one I've seen, there was a guy who actually used what we basically taught here, and made, I think it was like 12,000 profit or so in a matter of like a few hours. And what he did is he matched buyers and sellers of hard to find antique cars, where you couldn't just find like a local buyer or seller in your hometown. It was like these cars were like very rare. So if there was a buyer or a seller, they might be halfway across the country or halfway across the world. And he would basically link up the buyers and sellers himself, and he'd basically contact the seller and say, hey, if I find you a buyer, could I get like a certain cut or a certain fee for that? And of course, the buyer's like, of course. I mean, if you help that guy make like a $50,000 sale, he'd be happy to throw you some extra dough, especially for like ones where it's like an antique car where it's hard to find a buyer. I mean, if he threw you $5,000 just to link up with a buyer, that'd be a steal of a deal for him. And again, you can do this for like any kind of product or service you can think of, but especially high-end ones I find tend to be worth a lot of money, so it's more worth your time to go after. So, there's those 4 leads and the techniques that you can use with them, but let's basically cover some ways to profit off of them. So I gave you a few ideas, but here's a few more. So here's 6 ways that you can make money now by generating leads. One is you can generate leads for selling your own product or service, which is probably the most obvious one. 2, you can generate leads for basically others, like local businesses and service providers and such. 3, you can generate a lead database to rent or sell. There's a lot of places that rent or sell leads, especially specific leads for top dollar. I've seen ones range from like $1 to $10 a lead for like a specific kind right there, even more in some cases. You can also generate leads as an affiliate or CPA offers. And just to go back a point, so for like to get like a lead database, like my brother, for instance, would have killed for like leads of car dealerships and stuff to get in touch with like the CFOs for stuff like that. He would have paid top dollar for. And there's like, all sorts of businesses that need all different kinds of leads and stuff out there. The 4th one is you can generate leads just as an affiliate or for CPA offers. So it doesn't have to be your own offers. You can have different offers that you're an affiliate for, or use like a CPA network offer to get paid regardless if they buy or not right there. You can also find business or joint venture partners. So you can find, as I said, like the white label type deal where you can do a single deal right there that can make a lot of dough. You can also do that as a service for basically others. You can turn that around and try to find white label deals for other clients as well. And of course, you can also become a middleman matchmaker where you can match buyers with sellers or businesses that line up with each other. You can match up those. That can work really well there as well. In fact, I did years ago, I did something where I basically matched up essentially employees with employers, where I'd find, it's essentially a headhunter who would specialize in like hard to find jobs and stuff. And then I would search the net to find people that kind of matched that. And he would pay me $1,000 per resume that got past the first initial interview. Now he was paid usually like $25,000 or more per person hired. So getting paid like $1,000 for a guy that got past the first initial interview, that was, pretty good for him, but great for me as well, right there. So again, I mean, the sky's the limit in what you can do there. So the big question that most have at this point, so you now hopefully understand how you can make money off of even cold leads or business leads and all that, and the 4 different ways of doing that, even if you're not selling to them. But the big question that most have is, how do you easily get all of these leads? Well, there's 2 basic ways: the hard way and the easy way. This is true in almost anything. There's always a hard way and an easy way. The hard way is this: manually searching Google one by one, using phone books, so on and so forth. And there's places out there that literally, to get like a cold lead, they will basically open up a phone book, which is kind of funny because I don't think I've actually like looked in a phone book in like probably 15 years, if not more. But there's people that still use that. And that's how they get their leads. I think that's super outdated and super time consuming, but it is a possible way to do. But that's not very effective because, if you go through it one by one, or if you search on Google one by one, it takes a really long time, very, very time consuming, and it can be a lot of pain. But instead of doing it the hard way, we thought, hey, there's an easy way, or so we thought. And that was just buy these leads. So we thought, hey, instead of basically doing all that work ourselves, why don't we buy them? I've actually done that a handful of times in the past, where we would go out there and buy them. And what we found was it wasn't as easy as we thought, because the leads were expensive. A lot of them were super, super old. Most didn't work. And most had nothing to do with what they're meant to be. Here's like a couple examples. So with like the car dealerships, I thought, oh, well, here's a super awesome idea. I thought at the time I could buy some car dealership leads, and not only could I use it for some like software and stuff that I could sell myself that would help them, like would help them like rank and stuff like that, but I could also use some of those leads like with essentially my brother, and he could reach out to like this to the CFOs and all that. And I forgot the exact amount, but it was like, I want to say like I think we spent like a few $1,000s, and in the end it was like, I think like a few bucks a lead or so. And it was meant to be like a new, fresh, super high quality lead that, the site, which was a well-known and respected site in the lead industry, they claimed to have like vetted it. And what happened was like half of the leads, like half of the numbers in the emails, like didn't work. They were just connected or didn't go anywhere. And then when we checked online, like a lot of them were out of business like years and years and years ago. It wasn't like they just went out of business like a month ago. There were some that haven't been around in like years. Some moved where they have a completely different address or number or whatnot, like years and years and years ago. Some even went to completely different businesses. So some were meant to be a car dealership, and it'd be like a dentist, where it'd be like, wait, what? And it was like the biggest waste of money I've probably ever done in terms of like making like a business investment. And I did the same thing with like local businesses as well. I think we bought a list for, I don't know if it was like dentists or chiropractors, and it was the same thing. On the pricey side, it was like several dollars a lead. They claimed it was vetted and all that, but it was like, hey, these are like super outdated. Half of these leads don't even like, they don't seem to be even real, and a huge waste of money, like huge waste of money. So we thought we should find a way to automate that ourselves. So we're like, hey, instead of like paying for all these leads and having such bad experiences with that, why don't we find a way, since we specialize in software and all that, to basically automate finding good leads. We thought, hey, let's be smart. This is an awesome idea. Since we're having a hard time, a bunch of others probably are as well. But normal automation wasn't really possible the way we wanted it to be. or it was super, super expensive, or it ran into legalities, where it's hard to basically do what we wanted to do. Because this was actually the original idea I had is over a decade old. It was like, hey, this would be really awesome if we could do this. But at the time, it would not be easy to pull off. There's a ton of like hurdles and legalities. But I'm a problem solver, not a problem creator. So I met with our programming team, including our awesome head coder, who even got an invitation to the White House at some point years back for related to some programming work that he does. He does some stuff on the side as like a hobby almost, and he's gotten recognized there. He plays around a lot with our artificial intelligence and stuff like that. And we kind of give him a hard time on this because even though he got invited to the White House, we found out he was actually the second choice. The first guy that they invited in his field apparently couldn't make it. So he was like the second choice they invited down. And even though that's like incredibly awesome, I mean, Sean and myself, you know, we've never been invited to the White House or anything like that. We've met with the president in the past, and we've been to like a dinner, but we've never got invited to the White House itself. So of course, you know, we shouldn't give a guy like that crap, but because he's like, you know, basically the second choice, that was kind of funny. But it goes to show that he really is like an expert in his field and really awesome. But the solution we came up with wasn't easy. All we had to do was to build our own search engine from scratch and literally go through millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of pages to get the info we wanted for these businesses, currently over 100 million and growing. And you know, why did we have to do this? Why did we have to build a search engine from scratch? To get around legalities or too strict API rules, which are like some of the search engines out there allow you to do some stuff, but it's like it's either expensive or very limited or strict. There was lots of limits on the data that we needed. So we pretty much had to build everything from scratch. We had to build our own search engine to get around that, and then we're able to get the info and the data that we need to do a lot of cool stuff. So you can see how this is like a huge undertaking, absolutely huge. And you can see why it also took a long time, and it wasn't you know, wasn't super easy initially, but we did that. We built the search engine. We did all that, got around all the hurdles, and we did that to basically create what we call the unfair advantage. And introducing macro leads, which is basically taking lead generation to a whole new level. So I'm going to pause the screen for a second as I show off what that can basically do. But this is really awesome, guys, and it's even more awesome. Like what you'll see is just the tip of the iceberg, and this is like really exciting. I'll explain why that is in just a bit, but I'm just going to pause the screen for a second here, and I'll probably have to relog back into the software there. Just give me a second to do that. All righty. All right, there we go. All right, so, all right, so you should, in a second, see my screen here. All right, so here we are inside of the Macro Leads software. And basically, you're like, wow, like what's there? It looks like there's just a search. And yeah, it's a pretty easy thing. Basically, there's a search field for the main part of the software, and you can search for any kind of leads that you want. Literally, it's like a reverse search engine or a search engine for leads. And I have like a handful of saved searches, but I'll just show like an example here. So let's say, and there's like different kinds of uses that you can do, all four of the uses that we said you can do right here. So let's say like I have a friend that deals with like basically custom t-shirt makers and stuff like that, and let's say they have some like software that can really help there. So they'd be interested in probably reaching out to custom t-shirt makers or printers. So what you could do in this case is they could basically type out custom t-shirt printers or whatever, or custom t-shirt makers, or whatever you'd want right there. So you can play around with any keyword. They'd click search, and if the net's working and I'm logged in right, within moments you'll see a bunch of leads start to show up here. So I might need to re-log in and log back in right there, and I'll actually do that in a second. But I have a saved search right here where you see here's for basically custom t-shirt printer, and you see all these leads show up right here. We limit it to 200 leads at a time, just so you don't have 10,000 leads pop up right there. But you can load next page right here, and it loads like 200 more, or until the leads are basically all gone through. And you see the domain of the business on the left. You see the title of it, or like the name of the business there, or the title. You see the email addresses associated with the business right here. If you want more, you just click show more and it can show up right there. You see the phone, you see the addresses if they have it right there. So it shows all that stuff right here, and we see tons and tons and tons of leads right here. And we can always click on get more to get 200 more leads each time. So we just click again, load right here, and we'd get more leads. Now the cool part with this is if we want to do a deal with let's say it's custom t-shirt printers and stuff, we can reach out to these places either over email or over phone, or we can send like a postcard out. I oftentimes like to go the email route, and it looks up tons and tons of data on all these sites, but it posts the relevant stuff that we're basically looking for right here. Like in this case, the email and the number and all that right there. But what's neat is that in the background, because we have the search engine that we built from scratch, is actually doing a lot of stuff in the background that's quite neat. Like it actually looks at like hundreds and hundreds of data points, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg right here. And we're allowing in the future some easy ways to, like, if you want to look up like custom stuff, like let's say you want to find only custom t-shirt makers that use WordPress, or only custom t-shirt makers that have a schema on their site, or have something on their site, or have some basically tool on their site, or whatever. You can do that. You can pinpoint these leads down to be super specific, and that's kind of like why I said it's like the tip of the iceberg and stuff, is because literally you can do some really awesome stuff right here. And we see it looks like I just logged in right here, but you see when you do a search right here, it pulls up all the info. And what else is neat, and this is like a new search that I just did right here, on the right side, anytime you do a search, it will load data in real time. So it loads like like right here, it loads most of the stuff instantly, and on the right side, like the address and stuff, it will load that up in real time. So we'll search those sites in real time to pull that data. So if there's a site that updates their info, you get the updated info right then and there, which is quite neat. And of course, you can also, I'll just do another one. I'll do like it's not just for like leads of businesses like that. You can also use it on like a local scale. So like let's say you want to do dentists in Atlanta, Georgia. You just basically type out any phrase like that, and it's smart enough to like know kind of what you're looking for, and then it will do a search on that. Like right here, we see it popped up in a matter of seconds, and right here you see where it says loading. That means right now it's looking for the data on that site, trying to make sure it's the latest and it's updated, and all that right there. And we see all these dentists in Atlanta right here, and the loading part takes usually an extra like 30 seconds or so. If the net's really slow, it might take like a minute, but it loads all that stuff right there. And we see right here, tons of leads show up right here that we can reach out to with a click of a button if we want. We can also export those to like a CSV or like an Excel or like a clipboard. You can email them through like almost any place you want. Like if you want to email some through like your Gmail, you can. Obviously, you want to do it on a smaller scale. But we'll also talk about there's some autoresponders out there that specialize in cold leads like this. So you don't have to worry about that right now. You'll see how you can instantly get into those if you want as well. You see it's basically pulling that info right there in real time. I have another search that I have saved right here that I did for a weight loss blog. I basically type in weight loss blog, and this would be for, like, let's say you want to do like a PR service, or let's say you want to find blogs to submit like a guest blog post to, or like a news piece to, or to reach out to see what ads might cost. This will find all the weight loss blogs right here. Now, of course, in a case like this, you probably, like, some will have like a physical address, some won't, because you know, again, it's a weight loss blog right there, so it's not a local business, but you can search for local businesses, online ones, whatever. So you see all the weight loss blogs right here, and obviously there's a lot of them. And this is just it, limits it to 200 right here. If we want more, we just click load next page, and we'll have 200 more blogs. And we see the weight loss blog right here. We see the blog, the domain itself, the title. We see the email, if there's a number, if there's an address on that, we see all that info right there. So a pretty neat way where we could reach out to those with a click of a button. We could also check out the site too if we want as well. Here's another search that I have saved right here for internet marketer, which is kind of neat. So right here we see lots of leads of basically other sites that are internet marketers. So you see right here, you see their, you know, the domains. We see the, we see the titles where they say, hey, this is clearly an internet marketer right here. It can basically pull up the email addresses and numbers and the addresses when they're all there. So kind of a neat thing right there. And this has always been updated. And again, we have a lot of information in the background saved that, like, you'll later get access to as well. So this is just kind of like the tip of the iceberg right here. So we have ways where down the line we'll have it super easy. Like if you want to see, hey, who has a WordPress site, who has a schema, who does whatever you want, like any kind of custom search you can imagine, you could find those kind of leads for, and you could just click, next 200 leads right there, and you get, another 200. So for something like this, there's probably thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of such leads. Here's a search again for dentist in Atlanta, Georgia, and you guys get the general idea that you can search for any kind of business lead, whether it be local or global or whatever you want right there, whether it be to market stuff to, whether it be to make a white label deal with, if you want to reach out to those guys, whether it be to reach out to the media, like on the weight loss blog example, you can search for like news sites and stuff if you want, anything you want right there. Now, as a bonus feature, I'll share this with you guys. So that was the main, business lead tool right there. But as a feature, we also have a social one. If you click right here, it will basically pull up this. And this is where you can find leads on social media, which is kind of like another cool way where it works for basically businesses as well as consumers. So if we want to find guys in back pain, we can list some keywords right here, like back hurts, hurt my back problem, all that stuff right there. We can choose if we want to search in like a local area or not. That's up to you. Like you can have any kind of a range you want. This is just like a bonus feature or tool right here. And then we click on leads. And we see right here, here's guys complaining about how, hey, my back hurts. I feel like I'm 70, my back hurts. Double sad face, my back hurts so bad. I even want to sit and get my nails done, but I'm gonna do it though. My back hurts so bad, it's not funny. Can't wait to get home. My back hurts. My back hurts so bad. And see lots and lots of leads right here. And the cool part is right here. There's probably, in cases like this, there's oftentimes hundreds of thousands of leads. You click, next 100 results, and you'll get even more. You can also click right here to get some info, like number of like followers and friends and stuff that they have. So you can see like some of these might be like some pretty big influencers and stuff, but there's a few things that you can do. One is you can reply to these leads right here, straight through your social media. Where you might say, hey, it sucks that your back hurts. Here's a couple tips that I found that worked really well. Feel free to also check out a video or a blog post I have right here on some more tips and stuff, and you can give suggestions there. Or again, if you're a chiropractor or you work with one, you can say, hey, that really sucks. I see that you're in the same town as me. Feel free to stop by and I'll give you a free adjustment or something along those lines to kind of get those leads in. You can also choose to instantly follow those leads, and oftentimes they will automatically follow you back as well, and that kind of builds up a list in any kind of a keyword that you want. So over time, you can literally have a list that anytime you do a new post on your social media, a lot of those people will see what you say. So if you want to have a list overnight of people in back pain, or people that are house hunting, or people into personal development, or whatever, you can. And you can also, this works for almost anything you can think of. So let's say if you're like a realtor, I'll just click, I'll go to the keywords and settings. We'll go to the realtor one. We have a few keywords like looking to move, house hunting. I could probably brainstorm like several more, but that's just a few that came to the top of my head right there. And we can click on leads. And these are people looking to house hunt. Like here's one, house hunting with Ash, gets me so excited. Here's one. Here's one that said they were supposed to go house hunting but got lazy. Here's one that says house hunting sucks. House hunting right here. Lots of people. This one looks like they just got approved for a mortgage today, so they can start their house hunting. And you see like all these people right here that are what? They're looking to house hunt. They're looking to buy a house, literally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars right here. So whether you're like a realtor or anything like that, you can, or like a mortgage broker or anything like that, boom, tons and tons of leads right there that you can do from almost anything. If you want to find guys looking to buy a gift, people are complaining about SEO, or complaining about like maybe they have a roof that leaks or anything, you can find those. And you can also just be a matchmaker to link up leads with businesses and stuff, because you can even find guys complaining or looking for stuff that might cost tens of thousands, even hundreds, even millions of dollars in some cases right here. So all very, very awesome stuff, and that's just an extra tool on top of that all. So really awesome stuff, and really a complete game changer, especially when you consider that we have some, tons and tons of info that we store in the background, because we are our own search engine on top of that, because we do constantly scour and get even more leads, and we constantly update all that stuff. I mean, really awesome stuff right there. So I'm just gonna pause this for a second as I go back to the presentation. Alrighty. So what exactly does MacroLeads do? Well, you can now scour the entire net for leads on literally any keyword you want. So it's like a search engine for leads, or a reverse search engine almost. It finds leads for all those kinds of things that we have covered, all those different kinds of leads that we had talked about: business leads, media leads, social media leads, all those. You can also easily export them to mail from wherever you want, including manually through like a personal account and stuff, like Gmail, or even through specialized cold lead autoresponders, which I'll get to more on that in a minute. There's actual autoresponders out there that kind of specialize in this stuff as well. So if you're reaching out to like a handful of leads, doing that by hand, super easy. If you're trying to do it with like, thousands of leads at once, you probably want some kind of, an easier way to do that. But we have you covered on that as well. And I'll get to that in a second. But super easy way to really essentially pinpoint the exact leads that you want. You can pull their email, their phone, their websites, their names and business names, so on and so forth. And what's neat with this is we have some cool ways to look for like the real-time updated info on that. And we also have in the works right now, you'll see that for any lead that you find, like there's certain leads, like let's say if you look for like weight loss blogs, it might not have like a physical address listed, because they're like an online site that might not even list that, and they list like, let's say, their email. But we have a feature being worked on where even if they don't list that stuff, we'll soon be able to basically tap in and get a lot of that extra info for you, all included for free as well. We also have it so this can so it loads and searches their data in real time. And as I said, in the background, we're actually saving like hundreds of data points and stuff to really do some really awesome stuff, which we'll be rolling out as well. And it's always growing and updating info, so you don't get like wow, this this info right here is like years and years and years old. No, this is what that has right now in real time. There's nothing else out there like this right here, and it has artificial intelligence designed to adapt and add more features over time. So as I said, it's the tip of the iceberg. We have a ton of extra data in the background that we'll be rolling out and allowing you guys to customize even more and pull even more info, and some really smart AI to make sure it's basically grabbing the most relevant info right there. So with MacroLeads, how can you make money? Well, a few ways. First, you can sell your own products and services to targeted leads. You can also reach out to media leads for tons of free exposure. You can make business deals and partnerships easily. You can even find those looking to buy on social media. And you also now have the power to identify very targeted leads to sell for pure profit, sell or even rent for pure profit. And with MacroLeads, what's really great is no website is even needed, because again, you can go straight to these leads here. So who can benefit? Literally anyone who needs leads can benefit. The opportunities are nearly endless. Now, this is a brand new lead tool that we haven't even launched yet officially. It's live now, it all works now, but it won't be available to others or to basically the masses till probably next month or so. But then it will be targeted more towards basically like big lead buying businesses and such. So ones that are used to spending literally like 5 to 6 figures or more on leads that we can get more info on than basically anyone. And I'll talk more about that in like a minute or two. But we previously launched a lead tool that actually did only a tiny fraction of this one. And here's what some of those users had to say. So we previously did a lead tool that did literally a fraction of this. So I originally wanted to do something more like this, but with the technology that was currently out there, you couldn't exactly do the stuff that we wanted to do until now. And we had to build again our search engine from scratch, which was not easy at all. It takes a ton of time, ton of resources, and a ton of money. But a prior lead tool of ours could still do some pretty amazing things. And here's what those guys had to say. Here's one. Found 83 people looking for exactly what I can offer. David said it's amazing how easily you can find leads. I just did a search for potential customers and found 83 people looking for exactly what I can offer. That was in just his local area right there. He says, more powerful tool than top rankings in Google. Your software allows you to see inside the mind of your future customers because it allows you to spy in on what they're already looking for, your products and services. Here's one. Got their first two clients which paid for their investment. They said, hey, with your leads system, I struck gold. After completing a social media marketing course, I decided to search for prospects, in need of social media marketing. I decided to, excuse me, I read the wrong line there. She basically completed a course in social media marketing and then decided to search for basically prospects in need of social media. And right off the bat, she scored 2 new clients. And she said that these 2 contracts alone paid for her investment in the software. And this is Birgit Reichert from Vallejo, California. So what's cool here is she literally got a course on social media, learned how to do that, and then turned around and sold that service. So I thought that was really awesome right there, and found 2 right off the bat right there. And those are ones that pay, again, reoccurring income. Here's one which is real awesome. This is Billy Graham in Durham, UK. He says, and as a side note, you'll see that this works worldwide, so it's not just in like one place, it's a worldwide lead source right here. So Billy Graham in the UK says, thank you for helping me build my retirement fund. I generated 60 targeted leads in less than 5 minutes. In just 3 days, I made a profit of $3,677. Thanks to your software, I'll be living in a warmer climate a little sooner. than I had planned. So apparently it must be a bit on the cold side out in Durham, UK. So this is really exciting here that he was able to make a profit that fast right there. Here's one, 50,000 in revenue off one lead. I found over 5,000 such leads with your software. The ongoing relationship I have with one client has generated $50,000 in revenue so far. This is Kelly Conway in Kansas City. So off one lead, got $50,000 in revenue so far. That's really awesome. Here's one, already selling at $500 per referral. It says, hi guys, just a quick note to tell you that your software is phenomenal. In less than 1 week, I had a deal in place to sell website leads to a website provider from $500 per referral. I couldn't believe it, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Your support system and team are outstanding. You guys are the real deal, and put your money where your mouth is. Thanks again, Andrew Simic in New Zealand. So did a deal right there to sell for $500 per referral just as a matchmaker. And this one I think is like, this is an exceptional testimonial right here that I never even thought of this until I saw, hey, this guy used this to do some pretty neat stuff. He created a national network of 120 new jobs for his business. He says, with the downturn of the economy, his market was really slowing down. With your software, I've been able to create a national network to help those struggling professionals, help find work. To date, I've helped over 120 people find new jobs to replace ones that have been terminated, downsized, or looking to close. Not only have I created a good opportunity for my services, but I've increased the cash flow for them and my own and my own program, or no, and my own services. I want to say thanks for coming up with the program. Keep up the great work, Matt Lister, Fort Myers. So here's a guy that literally used it to help 120 others find new work, and by creating a network right here. I mean, that's really awesome. I mean, I can't imagine 120 new jobs made because of what he did right here. And at the same time, not only helping make all those jobs, but making money at the same time for himself, his business, and everyone else. So really awesome thing right here. And I thought that was like really awesome and a really, really smart way of using that software right there. Here's one that says, your software is the best product we've ever purchased. This was one that this was actually from an AmeriFirst Mortgage, which is at the time the #1 mortgage company in Arizona. So they probably use this to help with like basically mortgage leads and stuff like that. So I thought that was really awesome there, and another great example about how you can do a lot of stuff with all sorts of leads. Here's one which I think is probably like a record here: $12,000 in profits in the first 4 hours of owning the software. Daniel Zarko says here that he says, I generated $12,000 in cash after using your lead program in the first 4 hours of owning the software. And this is a guy that just basically matched up essentially other businesses or buyers and sellers. And I thought this was like a record for like money made super fast. So obviously this is probably like an incredibly exceptional result right here, but he's an exceptional person by basically taking action really fast. And this was the guy that matched up the antique buyers and sellers and stuff right there with essentially bringing buyers to other businesses or other sellers. So I thought that was really awesome right there. So here's a super quick overview. You get a complete license to use our proprietary software. You get 300,000 credits, where it's 1 credit per lead, so 300,000 leads to use at your own pace. So no limit or anything like that. And if you need more than 300,000 leads, you can get extras for only a penny a lead. And you get extra training and support. The total value of these leads conservatively is $36,000. Depending upon the source that you went through, it could easily be over $300,000. So I'm not trying to like blow up a number or anything like that. So I mean, if you were to pay $1 a lead, which we actually paid in the past, in some cases more, that'd be over $300,000 right there. So the normal price of $36,000 per year isn't anywhere near what your investment will be. So when we launch this at some point, probably next month, when we're basically going towards like the bigger businesses with like larger lead buying budgets and stuff like that, where we can like basically customize the stuff for them, we're looking to charge around $3,000 a month, so about $36,000 a year, and it would be a steal of a deal for them because that's the only way that they can get like the customized data and the fresh new data right there. But you won't have to pay that. You'll be able to get 300,000 leads for only $2,997 one time, not per month or per year, just a one-time fee. That's less than a penny a lead. Or you can also do a payment plan of $1,197 per month for three months, and then you still get, again, the 300,000 credits right there. So you save a bit if you do the full pay. You save about just shy of $600 by paying in full, but we have that plan available if you want. You can also add more credits at a penny a lead if you go over that. So I highly doubt anyone here will go over that, but if you are in a business that basically deals with like a ton of leads, you can get more leads as well. Now you can compare that to $1 for basically crappy leads, or $10 to $20 or more for okay quality leads, when these are great leads with real-time data for a penny, less than a penny a lead, which is crazy. And as a super bonus, as the first bonus right here, we're going to give you guys a super sweet deal. You'll get 1 year of an autoresponder service that specializes in cold leads for free for unlimited emails for the first 10,000 leads that you put into the system. You'll get a special code to get your first year free and have an easy way to reach out to these leads, and you can still mail them any other way you want as well. So you don't have to use this service. We actually reached out to a very awesome one that we were impressed with, and we did a special deal, and that they said, hey, we're willing to give you guys a year free for any of your clients. We thought, hey, that's kind of a win-win for the first 10,000 leads right there. So really awesome deal. You can get that for free and not have to worry about any of that. Super bonus number 2. You get free updates. So we have some very awesome things that are coming soon. So right now, we're currently working on a handful of very awesome features, like one we call lookalike leads, where basically instead of you having to just essentially type in a search to define leads, you can specify to us what your current leads are or what you think a good lead is. And if you specify their website and such, you can actually import or essentially type in what your essentially current buyers are, or what their websites are, or what kind of businesses you like, and it will scour our search engine and find lookalike ones. So from every site, we have tons and tons and tons and tons of data. You only see the tip of the iceberg on it. We have tons of saved data in the background, where it will look, in some cases, dozens to hundreds of data points and say, hey, of these guys that are good leads for you, or of these guys that basically bought your stuff or bought stuff of a client of yours, they have these things in common with a bunch of these other leads, and they will show you those new leads that appear to be similar to your best buyers. And that's some really awesome stuff there too, because like you'd be surprised at like what would constitute like a good match. Like sometimes it's stuff that you don't necessarily see. Like we saw one where some of our best buyers were ones that had like maybe they link to like a certain social media account, maybe they mention like a certain name on them, maybe they have like one thing we saw when we looked at like Facebook stuff was if they mention one or more sites on their accounts, they'd be more likely to be a good buyer. So it's kind of data points like that would be quite useful to look at, where the artificial intelligence can look and say, hey, your best buyers tend to have this stuff in common. So let's try to find other leads out there that also have that stuff in common as well. So really awesome. We also have another feature that's in the works where you can find leads also off of Facebook on, essentially pages. So if someone's asking a question on, a page or something like that, it can actually go straight to those places where you can interact with them on Facebook, which would be like a game changer. So like imagine to instantly be able to find places on Facebook where they're saying, hey, are there any good lead buying places out there? Or, hey, is there a good service for SEO? Or hey, do you have any recommendations for how to get rid of back pain, or whatever your market might be? You could find all those on Facebook as well. So that was one where we had to do like a special deal through to get like special approval on the Facebook side to basically do some stuff, which we're in basically the middle of all that. So we'll roll that out somewhat soon. You guys will get access to both those for free. We also are working on easy ways to basically send postcards as well as a calling service out. So right now you can call those leads, you can email those leads, you can send a postcard out, whatever you want. But with a click of a button, we're working on a feature where you can, it will actually link up to basically a mailer through us, where you can send basically a postcard through us, or it will actually go straight to like basically like a call center where you can tell them the script or the line that you want them to say, and they'll actually get in touch with those leads for you with a click of a button. So very, very awesome stuff as well, and that's on top of the email and all that stuff that you have now. So that's being worked on right now, and obviously there'll be like an extra charge to have like basically people call for you and to mail a postcard, because of course that obviously costs money, but it'll be probably the easiest way that you could ever dream of reaching out to those leads in multiple different ways. So very, very awesome. I'm super excited about those, especially the Lookalike one is really awesome artificial intelligence that we're really doing some top-notch stuff on. Super bonus number 3, free support and training. You'll get free top-notch support and very, very fast ones. I will always be sure to not only respond super, super fast, like within a day or less, usually within like an hour, provided it's like during normal business hours or in the daytime, but they'll actually answer your questions and get you the responses needed. You also get access to the current and future trainings as well. So as we roll out new stuff, you guys will get access to all that, and that's on top of our support with any question that you might have. This is super easy to use. As you saw, you just literally type in the keyword and it shows your leads. Super bonus number 4, which is a big one, guys. You can get access to our referral program. You'll get the ability to sell our full priced version and earn up to $1,000 per month per buyer in commissions. That means you could earn up to $12,000 per year per buyer that you refer over, because as I said, we'll be launching this probably at some point next month, where it will literally be about $3,000 per month that a lot of these businesses would kill for, because we can get not only real-time data, but on top of that, we can customize essentially the data any way that we want. And just one sale off that in commissions alone would earn you many, many times your investment today back, and that would pay you for life. So when we launch the public version of this next month, again, we'll be targeting the high-end lead buyers that usually spend 5 to 6 figures a year on leads, that we can not only beat the quality of, we can beat the price of by, just many, many, many factors over. Like instead of them paying like $1 a lead, again, we can get that at a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of that right there for a much, much better quality lead. It also will be the only kind of thing out there where if they say, hey, I want these kinds of leads, but I only want the leads where they also mention this, or they also have this tool installed, or that, like anything that we want, we can do that to make it be really, really, really awesome. It's the kind of thing that a lot of places would think, hey, $3,000 a month is literally a steal to do all that. And that's why, again, we'll be targeting a price of about $3,000 a month or $36,000 per year and up. And you guys can get paid on that as well. Now, you might think, hey, that sounds like a lot of money for a place to pay for that, to pay like 36 grand a year, but it's actually cheap compared to what a lot of them pay now. And they actually get a lot of better data at the same time. There are places out there that literally spend several dollars a lead, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these things, if not millions of dollars in some cases for inferior data, and they can't customize it the way that we can right here, which is why we thought, hey, this is an awesome market for us to dive into, especially with our artificial intelligence. And just to show how there's a lot of money in this, so years ago, when my business partner Sean looked into buying some leads and stuff, he basically called the place up and talked to like a rep there, and ever since then, even years later, every week he's gotten a new call from them asking if he wants more leads, and almost every week it's been a new rep for years. So that tells you if they can afford that many different reps, and they can afford to call out, like there's obviously a lot of money in leads, because there's good margins and stuff there, and that's why we're diving into the business here. So we're basically opening up a very exclusive affiliate program for our first users to have a chance to earn up to $1,000 per month per buyer in commissions, where they could literally earn up to $12,000 a year for every buyer that they refer over. And we'll even show you like the kind of buyers that we're basically going for, although anyone's fine, but we'll give you when we release it next month. We'll show you kind of like, hey, these are the target guys that we're basically going for. Heck, you could even use the software to help find those kinds of leads and stuff there if you want as well. But a lot of you probably know places out there that could really benefit from a service like this right here. So we thought we'd give you the opportunity to make some dough back and have it be a win-win. And that's just some extra icing on the cake, as you'll have access to all these leads and opportunities at a fraction of that price. And remember, you get 300,000 leads or credits for only $2,997 one time. Now, I just want to share with you one last important email and a very important point. So a ways back with a prior version of a lead tool of ours, we had a client that initially didn't do squat with it for like a year. He failed to make a penny at it, and he initially was quite mad and angry. And I said, well, what exactly have you done? What exactly have you tried to sell? Let's take a look and see if we can help. So we took a look and saw that, hey, the issue really isn't the leads. The issue is like he's selling something that no one's wanted since like the 1980s. It was maybe popular in the 80s, but not now. But it's close enough to another another offer where he could basically tweak his and get access to tons of people that would really want to buy his stuff. So here's what he wrote back after basically taking our advice. He said, hi, he says, I purchased your software last year, and after a couple of false starts was determined to give it a go. So he set aside some time with the software, and he says, well, what can I say? After swapping a few emails with one of the generated leads, he has secured a contract worth $20,000. And he generated many other leads that will also bear fruit. Incredible. And he says that he now realizes that he has a tap that he can turn on and off at will. He says, fantastic, great work, great work, guys. Thanks, Alan Jessen. So this just goes to show that, again, if you run into any issues, ask for help. Make sure you have a good offer, and if not, follow basically the tips and stuff that we gave right here on different kinds of leads and different ways you should approach them. Oftentimes, it's a simple tweak can make the difference between having like an awesome offer and not basically doing as hot right there. So I thought that was an awesome email right there. So how can you get started? So you can get access to macro leads and the revolutionary leads system to get 300,000 leads or credits for only $2,997 as a one-time payment. This is not per month or per year. If you wait, the only way to get in will probably be to pay about $3,000 per month when we're basically going after the large lead buyers and such. You guys can get access to it for a one-time payment of $2,997. That's less than a penny a lead. Or there's also a 3-pay plan of $1,197 per month for 3 months. You can save some if you do the full pay. You can save about $600 right there. And if you want extra credits, if by chance you use up the 300,000 leads right there, You can get X credits for just a penny a piece right there, so you never have to run out. And to really get this really awesome deal right here, you have to go to macroleads.com/deal. Again, that's macroleads.com/deal right now to take advantage of that. Now, as I said, in about a month or so, we will, that's essentially our target to do like the main launch. We're setting up like a marketing team to really go after like the larger lead buyers, to really make like a big splash in the market where it's like, wow, we can get better data, we can get many more data points, we can get customized data, which you don't see that anywhere, and all these other features which we'll also be releasing that you guys will get for free. So for $3,000 a month, people would think that's insanely cheap. Of those guys are used to basically spending a fortune on these kinds of leads. Well, you guys not only get the opportunity to jump in for just a one-time payment of less than that, but on top of that, you have the ability to sell this through our referral program as well, to sell the high-end version where you can charge the $3K per month right there, and you'll get paid up to $1,000 per month for every buyer, and up to $12,000 a year in commissions for every buyer there is. And we'll even give you some training and stuff when we release that to show how you can really go after that market and stuff right there. And we really think this will be a win-win. This is a project that I hold dear, because it's one that I had the original idea over a decade ago. It just wasn't possible to easily do the stuff I wanted to do then, whereas now it is. We had to basically overcome a lot of hurdles to accomplish all that, but we've done that, and this is really awesome, and we'll just get better and better and better and better, and you guys can get access to it at an insane deal right now, but you have to go to macroleads.com/deal right now. Now, I know we've had a bunch of questions. I know Sean and Sharon have been busy answering you guys on the chat box, so I just want to basically answer a few questions I see right now, and then we'll see if there's any other questions. One is, there's a couple guys asking if this works on a Mac or Windows or what. This is web-based, so as long as you can get online, you're perfectly fine. So it works on a Mac, it works on Windows, all that is fine. So that's all good right there. You just have to be able to get online. Second question is, there's some that are asking, hey, is there like a limit to when they have to use leads? No, you can go as slow or as fast as you want. So if you want to use it, if you want to get like tons and tons and tons of leads this week, go for it. If you want to say, hey, this is an awesome deal, I'll need some leads in like a month or two, you can get it now and save it until then. If you think that, hey, I only deal with like 1,000 or 2,000 leads each week or each month, great. You can still use this and spread this out and have it last for years, basically. That's all fine. But I guarantee you'll want to take advantage of this deal right here, because you won't find anything else even remotely close to this. Not only are the quality of the leads way better, because we get the leads in real time, it's our own data from our own search engine. We're not like essentially scraping another search engine or doing anything shady or anything like that. And on top of that, because we are our own search engine, we can do and save a lot of data that normally you just couldn't get. So we have a lot of data that we can get in the background that can get some really awesome stuff that in the future you'll have access to. All that, you'll have access to ways to customize those leads even more, which are basically features that we'll be rolling out relatively soon there, as well as you'll get access to the lookalike lead feature and some, and the Facebook one, and a whole bunch of other really awesome things right there that you get access to, including the easy ways to send postcards and call through a call service. All that again is included right here. And instantly, when you sign up, not only will you receive an email within probably like a minute or so with your login details and all that, but you'll also receive a code to get 1 year free of a cold email autoresponder service. So to basically deal with cold leads, there's an autoresponder service out there that we were really impressed with, that we worked out a deal with, so you guys can get a year for free right there. So that's we personally know the owner of that, so we were able to work out a pretty good deal for you right there to basically sign in for free right there. But you have to go to macroleads.com/deal deal right now. And as I said, this is a limited time deal, so we're only actually having this actually be for like the next 15 people right now, because again, it's kind of like a win-win. You guys get like among the first to basically access the system. So you get to basically dive in, say what you like or don't like, or if there's like features that you think would be really, really awesome, or stuff that you think we should basically tweak, let us know, and we can see what we can do there. So that's a good way to get feedback for us, and it's also a great way where you can take advantage of, not having to pay $3,000 a month to get access to this. And again, as I said, the kind of guys that we'll be shooting for as the clients in the future are the kind that $3,000 a month would be a steal, especially considering with the kind of data that they can get. We'd be the only ones where they can get that kind of data and get that kind of level of customization and all that right there. So you guys get a steal of a deal for a one-time payment right now to get, again, 300,000 leads that you can literally jump in right now, but you have to go to macroleads.com/deal right now. And if you ever want extra credits past that, again, it's only a penny each past that. I highly doubt you'll use up those, but in case you do, it's only a penny each, because again, this has a large raw cost to us because we're actually doing a lot of very, very powerful stuff in the background, a lot of very advanced artificial intelligence, a lot of very advanced server stuff, because again, we're running the search engine ourselves, doing a lot of stuff every day, refreshing the data constantly, even a lot in real time right there. Really amazing stuff, really amazing technology. I know you'll love this, not only for your own business, but just the opportunities that this can bring, not only for your own businesses, but for other businesses that you can start by having access to something like this right here. So make sure you go to macroleads.com/deal right now. And Sean, I know that you've been essentially busy answering a lot of questions. If there's any questions that I missed or anything that you've been answering that has essentially popped up, feel free to chime in and we'll try to answer.
Okay, so somebody asked about finding leads for home automation and security.
Oh yeah, sure. There's several ways that you could go about that. So it depends like what kind of leads you want. Like, do you like if you sell a service yourself, if you sell like a physical product, there's several things you could do. So one, you could use the social side to find people asking for suggestions and then kind of reach out to those guys right there. The second way is you could also say, hey, like you might find that instead of like a residential home, maybe there's a certain kind of business that pays a lot more for security systems and stuff like that. You can reach out to those guys there, or you can also do like the white label type of deal, or the reseller type one, where you could reach out to basically business deals that you can maybe strike a white label type deal with, or you could also use it for media leads, where you could write, let's say, a story on how to prevent break-ins and like the easiest ways to stop that, or anything like that, where any news newspaper or magazine or anything that kind of deals with any of that, they would probably love to have a story like that. Even the TV or the radio, they might want to have a feature on like, hey, what you can do to make your home safer. These are ways where you can get those kinds of leads, offer to show them basically an article for free that they can do anything that they want with. And that's a great way to get kind of free exposure, where a single run at like a top news site or like a magazine or anything like that could be worth hundreds of thousands of views for free, and could be worth a lot of money to you for basically free right there. So that's just like a few off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a few more if we actually sat down and thought this through, but yeah, there's multiple ways that could work as well. And I've seen there's like a handful of questions of guys saying, what about this niche or that niche or this niche? I've never seen a niche that this couldn't work in. Even with all the different ways that you can monetize these kinds of leads, of the 4 ways that we basically talked about, in almost all cases, you can do all 4. In some cases, it might be a bit easier with like three of the 4 or so, or 2 of the 4, but there's always ways where you can make this work really, really, really well there. And that's why this just basically brings you so many opportunities, not only for your own business, but for any other business out there that you want to do deals with as well. Because I'm sure you all probably know, like, you're probably thinking like, holy crap, like this could work really well for my stuff here, but I know a couple other businesses that would kill to have this kind of info right here, or this kind of leads right here. Well, help them do that same thing. Help make deals with them. Use our referral program on the high-end one, or even sell or rent these leads yourself, or turn this into a service that you charge a monthly fee for as well. So yeah, awesome opportunities with almost anything out there. Anything else you see, Sean?
No, so far we got all the questions answered. Somebody was kind of asking, which I had answered. How fast can you start using this? Well, it's as simple as sign up, get your login, start using it. You don't have to worry about downloading anything or installing anything, and really there's training for this, but for the most part, I mean, especially if you're a guy and you don't actually read directions or use maps, you'll just be diving straight in and using it, because it's pretty obvious how to use the software and to be able to immediately get leads and be able to make things happen for yourself.
Yeah. And with that, I saw a question of a person asking, like, do you have to write down these leads, or no? You can export these leads. So again, there's, with a click of a button, you can export those leads. With also, if you want to use the free bonus of the cold lead autoresponder, you can export them and add them in there. There's also a couple guys saying, well, what if we do a search that has let's say thousands and thousands and thousands of leads, and they're afraid to use those up. That's why we limit each search to 200 leads at a time, essentially top. So you never have to worry about getting 10,000 leads in one search. So you'd have to actually click next page to actually get the next leads and all that right there. And yeah, so all the future updates, those would all be free. You don't have to worry about that. And yes, this is just a one-time charge right here. So you don't have to pay per month or anything like that, which in the future, when we launch this to basically the larger lead buying places, that would be a monthly fee for less leads. And those would be the guys that are used to basically paying $1 or more a lead for inferior data, where we can get better data and we can customize it almost any way that they want, which is why it's worth a lot more, and why there's a huge opportunity for those that want to kind of resell this as well through our referral program right there, where again, a single sale can get you $1,000 a month in commissions right there. So pretty awesome deal right there. And there's tons of businesses that would kill for stuff like this. And once we release it to those guys, probably in a month or so, we'll have some training for you guys and how you can kind of help also take advantage of that as well. And that's again on top of all the opportunities that you can do for yourself right now, for your own business, or for basically others out there. All right, let's see what other questions have popped up. I think we answered most of them. Just going through, see if I missed anything. So, all right. And yes, yeah, so a person asked here, can you find basically business coaches? So can you find leads of business coaches? Absolutely. I actually had an example search of internet marketers. You could just have a search term of business coach, or a certain kind of a business coach, or anything you want, and you certainly could find those there easily. Yes, super easy. Okay. All right, so this is a great question right here. They said, if some leads get delivered, would there be repeats that you might be charged for? So what we basically do is sometimes there's a business that might have either multiple leads or multiple listings. Those count as one. So if there's a site that has a bunch of leads associated with it, or a site anything like that, we only count that as one. So it's not we're hey, well this result has 5 here, so we'll charge you 5. No, even though that still would be a steal of a deal if we did, we don't. No, we just say, hey, that counts as one credit as a whole right there. And again, you guys also get 300,000 to start with. So that's huge. Like it'd be almost impossible. I shouldn't say impossible, but it'd be like almost impossible to like actually use those up anytime in the near future, because that's a lot of searches, a lot of searches, huge amount. All right. All right. All right. So I think we pretty much answered everything here. And yes, the social lead, then that's just like a bonus featured tool with this, where you can also find leads on the social side. That's a little different from like the main business lead finder, but we threw that in as like a special bonus that you guys get access to as well right there. So really awesome stuff. And there's just a handful of spots left. In fact, let's do a quick survey right here, because we said, hey, let's shoot for let's have like 15 slots open, just to get like an awesome deal for like, you know, all the action takers. So if you basically bought, or you're filling the form out right now, if you could type in a 1. If you're thinking about it, if you could type in a 2. So if you're on the offense, so I'll get a quick count right here. All right. All right. Looks like a good amount right here. Oh yeah, so it looks like right here we have just a handful of spots left right now. And let me ask you guys a question. So for those that are on the fence right now, what is it that is holding you back, or what basically is it that you need in your business with leads to take it to the next level right now? Because really with the software that you have here, it can give you everything you need and more, especially with the features that we'll be releasing in the future, which you'll get for free. You'll be able to do almost anything you want in terms of like the kind of leads that you want right there. And yeah, I mean, again, really, really awesome stuff. And this is the kind of thing that like, literally a lot of businesses are used to paying anywhere from like $1 to $10 or more for like a decent lead. For like a bad lead, you know, people pay like 50 cents to like, you know, like a couple bucks for. And ours can get better quality real time right now, which you just don't see. And on top of that, we have the customization that you don't see anywhere with these kinds of leads, which we'll basically be adding as a feature soon as well, which really like basically opens the floodgates up to get almost anything that you want right there. Yeah, and again, what's neat with this is that you can use it you know, at your own pace. So it's not like you have to use the stuff in like a month or even the first year. I mean, again, it's a one-time for 300,000 credits. You can use it you know, at your own pace right there, and it's a great way to you know, just start to you know, not feel essentially pressured to have to use all those credits in like the first month or anything like that. That's all fine. We also have some like future updates being done where even on like the handful of cases where if there's not like, let's say there's not like an email address found, we have a feature that we're working on that you can click a button to find like what's associated you know, with that site as well. So it'd be more likely to pull even more info. So that will be some pretty awesome stuff that we'll probably have out probably within like a week or so, maybe two tops. All right, Donald asked here if there's an API to sell these leads. So currently, because this is new, I mean, this isn't even released to the public yet. That was something we were planning on like next month. We talked about having like an API, you know, through that. There's none now, but something that we certainly might do in the future, and that would be for like you know, some like resellers and stuff like that, because again, there's a lot of money when you know, a lot of the leads in a market like this literally would be like $1 a lead when you guys can basically get it for a penny a lead, or even less than a penny a lead, I should say. So pretty awesome deal right here. Sean, is there anything else you want to add in before we wrap up? It looks like we're closing in on the spots now, so if you want to take action on it, make sure to jump on it right now, because again, this really is a steal of a deal out there. You won't find anything else even remotely close. and a one-time price right here for 300,000 leads. It is a crazy, crazy awesome deal right here. And that's all backed by our full support and anything. So if you ever have any questions or anything like that, we're easy to find. Our support team will always get back to you, usually within like an hour, always within a day or less right there. So there's really like no excuses. And again, we're here to help you. If there's a feature that you'd like to see that we don't have, let us know. And we'll try to make that happen, because that's partly why we're having this deal basically open to you. A super awesome deal is because, you know, we value the feedback from you guys a lot, because it helps make our stuff essentially better and better and better. So it's a win-win for all right there. So Sean, is there anything you want to add in before we wrap this up, because we're approaching the hour right now?
Yeah, so guys, it's obviously, this is really simple. Leads are the lifeblood of business. You know, prospects, people you can turn into customers. That's absolutely what every business needs, whether it's your business or another business. And this is the fastest, easiest, simplest way to get high quality business leads, or leads really for anything else you want to do, where you can pull the real-time leads off Twitter just every single day, people raising their hand going, I need help with something. I need a house, I need a mortgage, I need my back pain relieved, I need whatever. It's truly amazing. You can't find this anywhere else, certainly not at the price that you can get access to leads here. And with the deal that we've set up, where you can have a 12-month, an entire year, to be able to import and email leads in an excellent, email autoresponder system where you can load them up and send them messages that are obviously targeted to them and of interest to them. It doesn't get any easier than this. For a lot of people, this is the difference between making and not making things work. But interesting enough, during the webinar, somebody posted up, hey, they've been in the lead business in the past, and at one point, they were paid $450,000 to generate leads for a mortgage business. And I mean, think about that, right? I mean, there's a reason why people are on CPA networks. For example, you can be an affiliate and generate mortgage leads for companies or insurance leads for companies, and be paid $10, $15, $20 a lead for the leads. That's how much, people are desperate for leads for their business. And you get them for your business at the push of a button, as fast, as often as you want, targeted the way you want, using macro leads. So it's pretty simple. You've seen it work. You're gonna get access to it and be able to make it work for yourself automatically. And these leads are fresh, they're current, they're accurate, they're real. They aren't from some guy's archive that you want to, hope is going to work. I just as an experiment went in the other day to one of the big lead companies and posted up and, said how many leads of a certain type are there, and they were like, well, there's 269 of these leads, and it said you might be able to email 150 of them. I don't want to buy 269 leads for, a buck or two, and then hope that, some of the emails are there and that some of those emails would work. I mean, that's crazy. That's stupid. And the fact that they can actually sell it that way, I mean, it's astounding to me. Like, they can be bad at this business because this business is so lucrative for them. We're looking to change that and, deliver real valuable leads to people that want them and will use them and do it on a repeat basis. So that's why we invested so much money to build this.
Yep.
Brian, I'm going to let you wrap it up because I think we just blew through the top of the hour because I'm never short.
Alrighty. Yep. And there's a couple questions again that are essentially asking if this is just in the U.S. or if it works worldwide. This can work anywhere. So if you want to search on a local basis, you can. So if you want to find, like, let's say dentists in Atlanta, Georgia, or dentists in Sydney, Australia, or some small town in some small country, that's all fine. If you want to search for more global stuff, like basically custom t-shirt makers, you can do that. If you want to find weight loss bloggers on like a worldwide scale, you can. If you want to do it on a localized scale, you can. So that's all. It's a search engine that's super smart and looks at what you basically type in, so you can find all those right there. So yeah, super easy. Works anywhere you want right there. Now, of course, this isn't the kind of thing that like you don't want to like spam like thousands of people and say, hey, buy my stuff or buy this. Like, you want to make sure it's obviously relevant to them, that like, you have an offer that's, not only relevant, but something that, makes sense and all that right there. But when you can get those two to line up well, this can be a game changer. It can really open up a ton of opportunities, not only to sell stuff, but also to make business deals, to get like, press release deals, to also turn it into like a business that you can run and make yourself to help other businesses and stuff. I mean, just tons of opportunities and stuff out there for you. So with that, we can wrap this up right here. If you have any other questions or if I missed any, I see like we've been answering like a lot of them, but you can feel free to write support@firstratesupport.com. So again, that's just support@firstratesupport.com, and they'll be happy to answer any other questions you have. And you should receive an email once you buy, and thanks to those that have signed up, you should receive an email within about a minute. If by chance after a minute or two you don't see anything, make sure to check your spam. And if you don't see it there, just write support@firstratesupport.com. You'll also see that the support email on the link that you see right here, which is macroleads.com/deal. You'll see it at the very bottom. Just reach out to them, they'll pass that info on to you. Super easy. I see there's like I think there's like one person that said they had an issue with a credit card. If that's the case, you can always write support@firstratesupport.com as well. But just what would be even better is if you contact or just call the number on the back of your credit card and just say, hey, this didn't go through or got flagged. And usually they're like, okay, well, if you don't normally get this kind of stuff, they might flag it just as a precaution. Say it was you, they should unflag it, and you can go back and buy again, and it should go through just fine. But if not, or if there's any other issues, just write support@firstratesupport.com, and yeah, and they'll go from there. And yeah, and as a side note, guys, this will definitely help almost any business you can think of. We'll have additional trainings and stuff as time goes on, and if there's like features or essentially trainings and stuff that you guys think would be useful, let us know, and we'll try to make that all happen. So once more, the link you should see on the screen, and that's just macroleads.com/deal. Again, that's macroleads.com/deal. I think we're close to wrapping up the spots right there, but I'll actually keep that link open for just a little bit more. So if you're basically entering your details now, we'll still make that good. Or if there's any issue where you have to wait or basically check with anyone, just write support@firstratesupport, and they can hold that spot, and we'll keep that open for a little bit longer. So again, any questions, feel free to write support@firstratesupport.com. And one last time, the deal is at macroleads.com/deal. So with that, hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.